Alright, so this is sprint 1, and first off I called my engine Ramen, because ramen is what I thought of and it's cheap, and this won't be the craziest thing at first, so that's what I think of. I don't know why it came up, but that's what happened. So I didn't do anything in the header for this. I haven't turned it into a singleton yet. Inside Ramen though, if we go down into the load contents, I've moved everything into their separate managers, and it calls loads assets. And then we didn't use these yet, so I just commented those out. And if we keep scrolling down, you'll see that each manager has their own get function, and they just type in what they named the key for their specific model or shader or texture. And it works perfectly fine. So then we'll just run it really quick just to show. And it works fine. Alright, so then in the model, it's a singleton, which is down here, which makes it into a singleton with the pointer instance. I have private functions that do all the work inside the CPP. So then my load goes into my preload. So basically, load assets is what the user at the moment will go and do, which I want that to have its own file inside the user folder. But right now it's in load assets, and then in that load assets, each thing goes into its load phase depending on if it's a pre-made object or an actual file path. So if we go in here, we'll see here's the load assets, and loads everything in, and then this is the specific one for pre-made models. Then for the load, depending on which one it is, this is the model path, and add that together, find the key for it. I have this insert 0 right here just in case we have to do anything later. And that's also why I wanted to make sure this was working, so that's why I have this commented out. So then if this has the same key, it doesn't matter if it's the same path or not, but if it's the same key and I play it, it'll go and blow up, which it does. So we can go and comment that back out. So we find the key in the load. If it equals the end, which means it didn't find a key, so we go and make one. We make a new one in here. I literally totally forgot about this C string function, so this took me way longer than it should have, because I was trying to figure out how I was changing string to freaking char array. I don't know why it took me so long. For pre-made object, I'm doing the same thing, but instead of doing the path, I'm just forcing the object in because it's either 0, 1, or 2, so it's doing the same thing. And then when it's in here, it goes set model, and then I just have this one line for it. So then it goes with the key. And then the get function, it gets the map key just in case if I want to go and print it out, I have it set up. Finds the key. If it doesn't equal the end, so that means if there is something in there, then it'll return it. So that's why we have the get functions in here. So if it finds something, it'll bring it back. If not, it'll explode and it'll do an insert. And then basically all these are the same. So then this is for the texture. Down here we have the texture map. I also have the iterator in here because we use the same iterator. Like, I used it for everything. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if I should remake iterators every time I need to use one. But right now I just have it in the same area. But they're basically doing the same thing for everything. The only difference is that my shader and texture files do not have the second load because they don't have any prefabs. And we'll look at this one really quick. And then once again, I have the iterator down here. You can let me know if that's something I should do or not. And then, yeah, there's everything. Oh, and last thing before I forget is everything's deleted from in here, and then in assets, they have their own files. This stuff I didn't know where to really place them, but then models are in here, and so on and so forth. And it runs perfectly fine, and now there's not as much gunk. And then I have the user file that's empty.